weeks we were with you in the studio.
Yes.
And we looked at this particular picture. And this was in February 1994.
Yes.
Raila was burying his dad. And the caption that was on this particular picture was about the sons of fallen heroes. So we had, this is Peter Mboya, and you also spoke, you spoke quite glowingly about Peter Mboya, the son of a late Tom Mboya. The skinny man, you can identify him? Very skinny.
Skaunye.
The Skaunye. Jadal Skaunye is there. And now we have Raila. Yes.
I was saying that picture has very interesting memories for me. One,
yes.
Actually, that is when Uhuru was being thrown into the game. Because you see, the Kenyatta family at that time, there was a discussion, and I don't know the actual facts of this. There was a discussion that there was a need for, because of the historical issues that existed between the Kenyatta family and the Jaramogi family. The parents had kind of mellowed after Moi took over. And there was this constant nagging politically. Are we still going to continue with these historical issues? Or are you people going to get together and figure out how we are going to accommodate each other? And that time, when Peter and company, you see,
yes.
Peter was the late Thomas Joseph Mboya's son, who already, who had been killed. And Mzee Kenyatta was blamed for that. And you are seeing Peter sitting with Uhuru Kenyatta, who's Kenyatta's son, and you see Peter was a classmate of Uhuru in St. Mary's Primary School. So these kids knew each other, they understood each other, and at some point they agreed to move on. But again, very unfortunately, after this incident, I think it was 95, if I'm not wrong,
94.
Peter Mboya died
in
a motorbike accident around Limuru. And it was very disheartening for me because he went to school in Cardinal Tunga High School and he used to live in my home. Yes, because my father kind of adopted. Even when Mboya died, you see, my father was appointed the Minister for Planning. So he moved even into Mboya's house. We moved the family. We picked Mboya's driver, a gentleman called Omari from Kindu Bay, the houseboy. We continued working. And my dad was really very close to Pamela Mboya, and because of the historical issues of this matter. But as I said, Peter died and Uhuru continued. And the distinction, what makes Raila very different, and I keep telling people this, and this is my experience about being in politics, and I'm sure Honorable Kongo Mogeni and Madam Shamalla will agree with me.
Yes.
At some point, Dibal,
yes,
there are certain people you just forget and forgive. I mean, there are certain people you forgive and don't forget. There are certain things which you forgive, but you don't forget. And I learned that Raila's strongest position as a politician, I knew Raila had a fight with Kibaki. They ended up agreeing. You had Kiraito, who used to be his friend during the struggles. They were all there. These all people were all friends. They would disagree on a certain issue. I mean, look at how many times Raila disagreed with Kalonzo. And at the end of it, we'll still end up convincing Kalonzo, can you please run with me? Because I've seen your value. And those are the things I think history will be left to read through and judge who really Raila was and what he stood for. But to me, I believed in what I learned when I joined ODM. If I am going to be in ODM or a serious party for that matter, and you do not discuss good governance, and you are not talking about the sanctity of public funds.
Yes.
If you are not giving your people healthcare services, if these people are not getting drinking water, then what are we discussing? So these things were brought by Raila. I understand the complexity of government, especially the Kenyan government. It was not easy. Even when we were in the coalition government, there were constant fights about who wants what, and Raila was frequently admonishing people even in public. He says, what is this you're doing? You're stealing maize for 2 million. when we want to bring Konza City, you know, I mean, he would bring those issues, and there was a discipline in the group. If you look at the corruption incidents during the coalition government, they were really minuscule with what happened after that or what has happened since then. And for me, this whole Raila narrative and his having been in Kenya and his history is for the children to read and figure out whether really he was a statesman. And my honest view and my conclusion after spending some time with him and being in the politics for the last 20 years or more is that the guy was a statesman, very funny. I mean, if you listen to Raila's jokes, very funny. Very. And the other thing that I found quite magnanimously about him, Raila was thorough on data and facts. All right, I remember once we were in Honorable James Ungwai's home, and I brought up the issue of universal income when we were discussing whether ODM will bring the 6,000 for youths and youth empowerment, or whether it will be 10,000. And I was talking about it, and Raila said, no, we looked at that model. If we reduce it, we start with 3 and then move to 5. Gradually, even the World Bank can support this. Then we're going through the figures. I mean, you could see that in public, in private company of governors and political leaders, Raila was always willing to engage intellectually on any matter affecting Kenya, whether it is doing roads on concrete, like this beautiful road that was named after him. Raila was always talking about that.
Yes.
What happened to it? I don't know. And all these upgrading of the slum neighborhoods and all those things were constantly being raised by him. And unfortunately, and many Kenyans forget this, there were days when you were a member of the opposition, there was nothing you could deliver to your constituents. You were marginalized, you were always victimized, you were, and this is the narrative that was dumped on Raila. And yet, constantly, Raila was always talking about, can we change this? Can we bring this up? Can you create, look at the free education narrative. Yes, Kibaki provided it, but the impetus was actually coming from Raila and the ODM, because we believed in the social welfare system of introducing education for the marginalized and the people who are destitute. And that, for me, was the center of the argument in ODM. If ODM continues with that narrative, the values stand for what is right for the country, criticize the government fairly and reasonably, don't go petty on the issues, then people will begin to look at ODM as a very, very serious party, or any other party for that matter. And the experience I have, finally, is every single time you would hear Raila talk about democracy. What is democracy? It's a give and take. Sometimes you make decisions on very complex, very painful things, but you must be able to see what the other side is requiring or asking for, and then you give some so that you meet in the middle. And that's how I understood his politics.
All right.
The politics of the middle is always better than the politics of the winner taking it all, or the politics of you being on the other side where you're always talking about all these other things. So he's left a legacy, I believe, that is quite good.
Indeed. I wanted just to come to Senior Counsel Shamalla Mogeni. One of the overarching character of Raila Odinga was he was very trusting. Very trusting. And we've seen the way he would trust, also that was his weakest point, because maybe some of even the political operatives around him took advantage of that. How do you think this sense of his character worked against him? Because of course everyone wants a leader who is, you can trust me, but people now really took advantage of this.
That is the flip side of Kenyan politics. You can trust, 3 of us can sit here and we have a very, very open discussion. But the moment you walk out of the boardroom, the person who was even your leader advisor will backstab you. That's the nature of Kenyan politics. And for the years we have been in ODM, for the last 15 years, I don't want to name names, but there have been these murmurs that there are people around Raila who have always misled him at the most critical moment in time. And even, making the decision to run. I remember when I was serving as the chair of JLAC, we were looking at the amendments to the political parties to allow a legal framework that will allow Azimio to run as a coalition, but with one banner, just like the NAC, okay? And we went to this hotel of Michuki, what do we call it?
Windsor.
Windsor. And on that day, because we really wanted to concentrate, we had all the legal luminaries from the Senate. I was there, a senior counsel. I had Senator, now Governor James Orengo, Amos Wako, very refined legal minds. And we spent a whole day. I left my phone in the car. I didn't have my phone the whole day because we were working on those amendments. And late in the night, when I went to pick my phone just to see what, I found more than 7 missed calls from the departed Prime Minister, Raila Odinga. Yeah, and we had all the good intentions. We wanted to create a legal framework that will allow a coalition that could withstand the post-election shenanigans. Like what you saw happened, where parties that were in the coalition moved away.
Yes.
So that's what we wanted to cure. And Senator Mutula was very passionate. So we had done the draft. The team was making the final draft, and then when I look at my phone call, people I will not name, one of the trusted allies was part of the people had called me. So when I picked his phone, he said, "We can't look for you all day." I said, no, I was working on this thing. Then I was told, we have had news that you want to make these amendments. Pass that law the way it is. And we tried to explain, I say, these we are doing for posterity, and we need to have a coalition that can withstand the post-elections shenanigans, And we were prevailed upon not to pursue that line. And I remember Mutula Kilonzo was so mad, he stormed out of the meeting. So you step back and wonder, what are the interests of the people who are pushing the different agendas? Is it that they are friends in some parties that they just wanted to hang on there? So he has been, unfortunately, a victim of over-trusting people who I think take advantage of that trust. People say, I have no evidence. That's why I don't want to name anybody. That some were using it for economic gains, for political gain. That really has been the most unfortunate thing for people who are really hanging around.
So it was just being used as a political crutch.
I would say even for me, I didn't have such a deep personal friendship with Raila, but he was really trusting. If I could pick a call as a chairman of Law Society and say, I want to invite you to be my guest, and he'd say, no, that's fine. I readily accept when, as I told you earlier, if he comes to the meeting, he has no qualms about the food, the drinks, or there is a scheme to kill him. That is how trusting Raila was. I mean, I served just last year when we did NADCO. Yeah, NADCO. And when we used to meet Raila and you give him a briefing, he had placed a lot of faith in us. He had the trust that the people he had picked to represent his coalition in NADCO would do the best. And when you go sit with him and give him a report, he will say, if that is the route, let's go with it. Of course, we'll make one proposal here just to improve the document. But he had all the trust in his brother, Kalonzo Musyoka, to lead that process. And he would never countermine Kalonzo. He said that is the one leading the negotiations. And once we made a decision and Kalonzo gave him the briefing, he was ready to take ownership. And we went to Capitol Hill and said, we are done, we have signed the report. And he said, if that is what you have agreed on, we move forward. That's how trusting Raila Amolo was. Maybe the lessons we should learn is that in this part of the world, you should never trust anybody. Maybe.
Apart from God.
Other than God, maybe, and your spouse.
Even
it's like
yeah.
betrayal is part of the rules of the game. You know, yeah.
And that's part of that's part of
It's the glue, I think.
it's a part of politics.
Yeah, yeah.
It's
Okay. Unfortunate, but that is the reality of the nature of Kenyan politics. And Honorable Onyonka will tell you, it's not Raila. It happens to everybody in the political realm.
It's unbelievable.
It's a dog eats dog society or politics. Let me just hear from Jennifer. Especially, let's talk about his political sleight of hand, because we've seen Raila, reinventing himself, metamorphosizing himself. Whenever we think like, oh, he's really lost the plot, he comes up, renewed, strengthened. We could talk about even what we were looking at, that particular picture of the NDP, Kanu swallowing NDP, coming with the Rainbow Coalition. From Rainbow Coalition, we have the Pentagon, or maybe reverse the sequence, and you have, CORD, you have NASA, we have Azimio, and somewhat in the mix also, he got misunderstood. Can we say, has he laid to rest as a man who has been misunderstood, especially in this last stint of his political career?
Tibal, to answer that question, I need to put things into context, and it's very timely because I was actually taking down some notes. After the post-election violence of 2007, we had what was called some truth, justice, and reconciliation, lots of commissions and lots of reports that I've never seen enacted to date. In 2007, I was a presidential agent for Raila Amolo Odinga. I was at Nyayo Stadium, which was the IEBC of then headquarters, and we were waiting to ferry the ballot boxes to the various stations for his constituency, which was Kibra, extension of Langata, whatever. There was such a delay, and the first fright at dawn is when they were called Taliban boys those days, because they marched in, wapi kura ya mzee, and you have the APs and you have everyone and panic, and the APs are armed, with semi-automatic, and I was terrified what's going to happen. Anyway, to cut a long story short, it is the Taliban boys who are now lifting the ballot boxes and putting them in the NYS buses. I am sitting there and I'm wearing a, jeans, a blanketi, those Masai Samburu blanketis. And then Raila, somebody's talking to Raila on the phone, and they said, there's one of your people here on the bus. So, no, the bus driver is the one talking to Raila. He was directly communicating with them. And he said, but one of your people is here. So he said, Jennifer, what are you doing there? I said, no, don't worry, because he was now concerned for me. I said, don't worry, everything's under control, and we're getting to the station. I had all my notes. I was one of, observing all the various streams at the polling station. I then go home, as we're waiting for the tallying and the counting and whatever, which was being done at KICC, 207. I get a call. I can't name who these people were, but the person who called me is now deceased. And that person said to me, they're beginning to change the results. Raila was leading. Anyway, the rest is history. We saw a swearing in at State House, and both people, but the president
under the cover of darkness,
and Raila are not alive today. But before that happened, one of Raila's closest aides, who remains the closest aide today and is still alive and can verify what I'm saying, and I will not name him, he called me and said, called me by my nickname, doesn't call me Jennifer, who was in your house that day you got the call? And I told him, and I'm not going to say here, but what was the outcome of this? A terrible process that became the Ocampo 6. A terrible, that's why I was so against it. A terrible process of the Ocampo 6, when the real instigators were nowhere on that list, on either the ODM list or either the one where Uhuru Kenyatta was. I don't know what list that was called in those days. Was it a PNU list? That was the outcome. And one day that history must be corrected. And it must be corrected because Raila, as far as I'm concerned, won the 2007 election. From everything I know.
Right. So I circle back to my question.
Yes.
With all these intrigues,
Yes.
His journey.
Exactly.
Has he rested as a misunderstood? Because we have different reactions even when you look at the social media right now. The people who are, celebrating is there.
And it's not very easy sometimes to actually defend Raila's positions, but it's this way. There's a difference between a hypothetical political leader who receives textbook notes on trying to solve a problem which exists, which could most probably require different notes. That doesn't mean that Raila doesn't take responsibility. I believe he takes all the responsibility over the negotiations that he has held. But I give my position. And the position is very simple. Do you look at this system the way it is designed and believe that even when the chances and everything look like these elections were going to be free and fair? Do you really believe that even today, even if we held elections, I can tell you that they're free and fair? No. So even the very basic struggle of trying to clean up the country, make sure that we don't fight over elections, make sure that we leave all this taka-taka stuff that we like doing, it is nearly insurmountable. And Dibal, I say this because me at a lower level, when senior counsel, you remember we've spoken about this, when I'm raising an issue about state capture, or I'm raising an issue about how we are misusing public money, or the amount of pushback that you get, and I'm just a senator, I mean, I'm a small person. What pushback do you think Raila is going to get? So I expected Raila to be intimidated also. I expected him to be blackmailed. And I expected him to be put in the position where sometimes he has to make bad decisions. But the reality is, when you follow the chronology, look at what happened in 2017 when Raila was at Uhuru Park being sworn in. What other thing, in fact, I think for me, historically, that might end up being the best decision that Uhuru ever made. By not picking Raila and saying, now we are going to take you to court and charge you for treason. Why? Because there are certain political decisions you take and mitigate without looking at the political consequences. Or even legal. Very rare exceptions. Even legal. So the history of Raila must be seen in its totality.
Exactly.
You cannot isolate incidents. Okay, there's a trend. Or he negotiated with Moi, then he left Moi, it looks like that's what he does. But the question that you're asking, if Raila had not made Moi, the chicken, swallow the cock, the jogo to swallow the tinga, there's a likelihood
Civil war.
there would have been a civil war. But by the simple reality that that mix was brought into the mix, and then obviously Mzee Moi got destabilized because the feeling and agenda he had at that time, all the leadership who are in the opposition, including some who are in government, moved aside and said, Mr. President, we'll take a different direction. Now, look at that and then bring it back until when Uhuru is negotiating with, look at Kibaki, they finished. Now, the one which was most shocking was the one, of course, the Raila meeting with the President William Ruto. We have said, and I remember Kongo, you were there, senior counsel, this question was raised. And some people want to trivialize it like it's not a... Raila was asking the leadership of ODM, you people, you tell me, if you want us to let this thing go, which country? Somalia, way? I am tired even me. People started telling him, Mzee, you can't do that. So here he is, he has made a decision which he was uncomfortable with because for him he's looking at the larger picture of saving your country which is in a mess. And yet in reality, the interpretation is he was doing it for his self-benefit. And many of us who disagreed with that discussion came later. The initial decision with Raila engaging with William was never questioned with us. What became a question, and I understand it, because I know how Kenyan politicians behave. He's talking about betrayal. Raila had to use peaceful methods, means to try and bring those nitty-gritty changes of the software that has made Kenya become a country that is difficult to govern. Every 5 years, we fight. Shouldn't that worry us? And these are the issues now. And I think that is why I'm saying it is up to the president's responsibility as William Ruto, the president who says look at his speech today. Raila was a Democrat. He loved peace. He's a man. Sir, if that's what you think Raila did, please do what Raila would have expected you to. Make sure the country goes to the next level. Because there's nobody who understands where Kenya is more than William Ruto. He's been there with Moi. He has been there with Raila. He has been there with Uhuru. He has been there with Kibaki. And he's been there with himself.
True.
Who other person can fix Kenya really, Dibal? It is the president. So he said he thinks he knows who Raila is. He has understood what we are saying about what Raila's expectation is. I would pray and hope that he will take it upon himself to take his politics to the next level and make sure that Kenyans begin to say, I think now we are going the right direction. So in reality, and many politicians, we don't like saying this, the truth is, Raila's funeral is going to be a healing process for many of us. It's going to be an engagement among the political class. But the reality is that if you go and bury Raila and give him all the accolades and Kenya continues on the trend that we had already started picking, nothing will change. People will go back and say, we want now what Raila wanted.
Yeah, if we want now what Raila wanted.
Yes.
And I was just looking at maybe the longer view. Does it really change the political dynamics in the country? Because right now I'm thinking that Musalia Mudavadi is airborne, and he's reflecting also his life with Raila Odinga. I remember in 2017, he said that, the problem with Kenyan politics is Raila.
And Wamalo said the same.
And Wamalo said, yeah.
And many other people have said.
They have said. So, was he the problem of Kenya's politics?
No.
Or, yes, because this is what they've reiterated, and we've had also from the United Opposition the same statement.
Before my seniors respond, I think I can...
Yes, please. Yes, please.
You're talking about what Kijana Wamalo said, what all these political leaders have said. My observation and our many people's observations have been very simple. Raila was comfortable accepting that he is actually a child born in this system. And he understood that there are certain things which must be fixed in this system. And that is, for example, the conclusion I have, that yes, you are talking about changing Kenya. Unless you fix Kenya's financials, particularly within the ruling elite, you are not going anywhere. So yes, he was a conformist, but you see, he was fighting for devolution. He was removing money from the center because the center had become more entrenched. You see my point? So in reality, even when everybody else saw him as a problem, he was the only one who was able to look government in the eye and tell them, stop stealing, fix the country, give us health care, free education is affordable, the amount of money we collect is enough. Please, Kenyans don't expect too much. There are basic minimums that Kenyans expect from you. And that's where we are. So we are going to give Raila an incredible funeral because we respect him, and a lot of people, we all get credit after you've died. So a lot of people are feeling guilty, others are mixed with it, others are wondering what to do. But the reality is, what was it that Raila used to talk about and fight for? Don't tell me how he failed.
Exactly.
Tell me what he fought for. Because somebody else is going to pick that and push it further, maybe to break the glass ceiling.
Yeah, indeed. Yeah, Senior Counsel.
Yeah, I think with Raila Odinga's demise, devolution and the Senate is the poorer. I was thinking today and wondering, did anybody, Senator Onyonka, record the address that Raila made to the Senate 3 months ago.
Yes,
Was it ever recorded?
I think it was.
With the
Even-
parliamentary broadcasting.
It's on the house.
I hope so, because
Yeah.
it was more of a kamkunji that senators were consulting Raila before launching the campaign to amend the constitution to strengthen the legislative power of the Senate
Yes.
and also strengthen devolution. And we invited Raila to speak, and I can dare say here, with the demise of Raila Odinga, I don't think there is any, with tremendous respect to all my political leaders in
Yes.
the country, I don't think there is any other leader who has got the passion to fight for devolution the way Raila had. And who can sit, he didn't have any notes, but he spoke and gave us examples of countries that have truly embraced devolution. And without blinking an eye, he made a very strong case why he supports the decisions that have been churned out by the High Court, Court of Appeal, and the Supreme Court, declaring NGCDF unconstitutional. When we went to the PG in Karen a few weeks ago, he repeated the same in front of members of the National Assembly without any fear, but with courage. Because I believe even President William Ruto was in shock. I'm sure he was like,
Yeah. But
this guy can take on the bull by the horns. Because he addressed the members of National Assembly and told them your role
It's to
under the 2010 Constitution is to legislate, represent the people, and oversight. And they said there is no way you can cheat us, that you can mix those three
together.
with development and managing of resources at the constituency level.
Constituency level.
You could see the tension that was in the room.
Yes.
And I looked at the president, and I'm sure the president was like, wow.
Yes.
But
Yeah,
I must
but-
They can only be one
I must
Raila.
interject here because
with
if you
that,
look at an example of Kakamega County, my county, if you see the road network in Kakamega County going into the city, we never saw that until we got devolution. Never. Never. And so I support
so
what
really,
Senator is saying.
I can tell you personally, when I received the news this morning, I said, oh my.
But
We have lost-
one will be inclined to wonder and confounded by also his statement that maybe we need to rethink the whole devolution of the 47 counties. He's been pushing for the 14.
He said,
He says this is untenable, 47
he
counties.
said,
So does he rule also?
He said that
the
in
day
that
he
address,
is
in
supporting
that
devolution?
address, he addressed, in fact, he gave us, you heard Senator Onyonka say that you could never fault Raila with facts.
True.
You could never. He gave us the history of what happened
From 19.
from
58.
1958 and even at Naivasha. How we got into these 47
counties.
and economic units, devolution units. And his proposal was that this thing could have worked better if we had 24.
On 24.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
So this
and
was
when he finished,
dramatically different from the BAMBA's draft.
Yes.
This is where you're actually coming from.
and yes, and when he concluded his address, even the opponents of the broad-based government stood up in salutation of that speech that was given by Raila Odinga before the Senate of the Republic of Kenya. I hope we archived it. I hope there is a video somewhere. And I think he laid the foundation for us. What we need to do as senators is to embody the character that we have seen of Raila, of courage, okay, of pushing an idea you believe in without blinking an eye.
Absolutely.
This constitutional amendment that the Senate of the Republic of Kenya has proposed, that is meant to strengthen devolution, okay? In honor of Raila Odinga, the Senate should push it to its logical conclusion. And that was the last address by Raila Odinga to the senators of the Republic of Kenya. So like him or hate him, the Kenyan political landscape will never be the same again without Raila Amolo Odinga. The only person who could fall and rise again and still remain very relevant in the Kenyan political landscape was Raila Amolo Odinga.
With the four presidents, save for one. Yeah.
Even as we were approaching 2027, every political actor interested in Kenya's presidency was focusing which way will Raila go. Will I be lucky to get the endorsement of Raila Amolo Odinga? Would the Kibaki 202 Tosha declaration be made in my favor? That was Raila for you. I think the political networks, and I think the example I gave you of him just picking a call, just seeing that Omogeni has been elected chair of Law Society and you drop a call to him. Because we had, Nyachai was from my region at that time, Simon Nyachai, the late Simon Nyachai. But it did not bother to say, let me contact this new chairman, just give him a congratulatory note. But look at how Raila could create, networks. Even the story you have heard of him looking for Onyonka and making that collection. He was really gifted in that. So the question you have asked about Kenyan politics, I don't know who can fit into Raila Odinga's shoes.
I think maybe this is a good handy opportunity for people to reconcile. You talk about healing, pick up the stabs of festering wounds and try and heal them,
Yeah, and the things we have spoken about, it should not be lip service. I had His Excellency saying that Raila was unfairly detained, yet was fighting for the political space that we enjoy today. The politicization of security and apparatus against political opponents should be a thing of the past. Because that is something that Raila did not believe in. The embracing of democracy. You remember that on many occasions people have come out to attack Sifuna because he made pronouncements that many believe were not in sync with what Raila was trying to do. But remember, Raila many times came forward and said, no, we can agree to disagree. That's part of our democracy. So we should not hear the stories you're being told where Senator Onyonka steps forward to seek accountability. And then somebody gets so mad as if you're committing a crime. And yet, what you are doing is a role that has been bestowed to you by the Constitution of the Republic of Kenya. Do you know, Dibal, that the people of Nyamira have only one delegation to vote on their behalf in the Senate? The same with Kisii and many other counties. So look at the magnanimity of the task facing us. When we step forth, for example, to raise issues with the mismanagement of agriculture, why the tea farmers are getting
bonuses, which are
very low bonuses that has never been seen in the Kisii region, it's not because we hate anybody. It's because we are trying to do the work that we were elected to do. So I really hope after the burial of Raila Odinga, we can walk the talk, okay? So that we clean up our politics and appreciate the constitutional structure of our constitution, where those who are in government can push government agenda, but those in the opposition remain every day to be an alternative government.
Exactly.
Yeah, because I don't like this thing of every day calling us opposition. In fact, we are not opposition. We are an alternative government. Everything we say that is different from what the government is saying is because we are saying, if we take power, this is what we will do. And, our democratic constitution gives a president, a senator, MCA, a term of 5 years. I cannot fight anybody in Nyamira, neither can Senator Onyonka fight anybody in Kisii, if they step forward and express interest in your seat.
Indeed.
Because it is the people who are going to make a decision, okay? That's why those who think that President William Ruto deserves a second term, that's their constitutional right. Some of us who think that he has underperformed and he should go home in 2027, we are also exercising our democratic right. And believe you me, Dibal, if we defeat him in 2027, he should accept honorably that he has lost the election.
Yes.
Congratulate the winner and go home. That's how we can build the legacy that Raila started. That's why Raila fought for multipartyism, because multipartyism gives the people of Kenya another alternative government.
Yes.
Okay? That's why even in 1979, Margaret Thatcher was telling the British that the government you have has overtaxed you. If you elect Margaret Thatcher and the Labour Party, we will reduce all the taxes. There was nothing unconstitutional about that. You know? So if we really love Raila Odinga, we should now start to respect our democratic institution and open up our democratic space and say, we are doing this in honor of the fallen hero of democracy called Raila Amolo Odinga.
Quite cogently said. But I wanted just to ask you, because I know the Senate is having a special sitting tomorrow.
Yes.
You've mentioned the issue of NCDF,
NGCD.
and of course it is now on the table of the Senate. You are the people now who will give it life or make it die. So this is where you're going to make the hard decision. And I know there has been that debate from the National Assembly. Now you're the people who are going to decide. I've had Senior Counsel saying, you know, in honor of Raila Odinga and what he's been steamrolling with this particular development fund, it should be quashed. So will it see the light of day? Will it die? Or what will be, I don't know if you've gotten the order of a day tomorrow on the special sitting in the Senate?
The feeling I have is the same thing that senior counsels here have said. The reality we are facing is that Kenya must be a country that follows the law. You see, nobody has ever said that CDF of course me, I say what it does and how it's been abused and everything, but the reason why those issues are coming up is if you decide this is what you want, then do it within the law. If you want to change the constitution, bring a referendum. Bring a referendum. That's what the courts have said. If I'm criticizing you and I'm a senator and I'm talking about issues of government, I'm not violent. I don't carry a gun. I don't even carry police officers. I have nothing. I'm just using my mouth and using common sense and logic. Why would you want to punish me? Because I'm really helping you to govern better. I'm telling you the mistakes you're making. It has nothing to do with me wanting your power. Because the power you've taken and your period, like you said, is 5 years. We are comfortable with that. But what we are saying is we have structures that have been weakened. We have governance that has been weakened. That is why the country is not moving. That's why everybody is complaining. Can you fix these structures? And you have the country running without any problem. And do it within the law. Because if you do everything in your republic within the law, even a foreign investor coming in to invest, he trusts
and has
you.
faith.
He sees your laws work.
Exactly.
He sees the case goes to court, 3 months he's out.
Exactly.
How can you go to court? You have invested 500
Yes.
million shillings, you have a case and it runs 19 years. How do you expect anybody to come and invest anywhere?
Anyway.
So these are the things we are saying because they have been done in other countries. When you talk about stop telling leaders to carry motorcades of 75 vehicles, we are not crazy. We know you can have a motorcade of 6 vehicles and it does exactly the same job. Those are the issues.
Yeah,
so Raila, for lack of a better expression, is the one who told us to be talking about these things. So he couldn't even stop us.
Indeed.
Yeah, he was tired. He had done what any human being in his capacity could do. And people were expecting miracles, the guy will come up with something that is, no.
Right.
He was, after all, a human being.
Indeed.
Who had fought for 60-something years about this country. He started politics when he was 20.
And he continues to fight for, the country.
Yes.
Some of the hard decisions he had to make, even politically, that really cost him heavily were even the Mau Forest. We were just celebrating Mazingira Day the other day.
You remember when he stood up about Mau Forest?
Yeah, I know.
And of course, at that time, the guys who are hitting him, some of them are the ones in government now. Now, imagine if Raila and team of Kibaki had not kicked out the people who were annexing Mau Forest. The water towers of the Rift Valley, which takes water to the lake. And the reason why Raila was behaving like that is the water had started receding on Lake Victoria. We all know that.
We have the proponents now in government of climate change.
Yes.
Yes, and they may hack back maybe to that particular time and wonder when they were telling people that, who said that trees, trees, water come from heaven, not from trees.
Not from,
Yeah, so this is some of his stance. Even as we're looking forward maybe to, I come to Jennifer, and the question of, I know, after he's been interred, he's such an iconic figure that the issue of, in the spirit of solemnity and just trying to immortalize him, where will we put up Raila's statue?
It has to be.
It can be, that can be another bone of contention. Should it be in Kisumu? Should it be?
I have a great idea.
Where should people now, we'll have a committee now to decide it?
We don't need a committee. You know where that city hall is?
The city hall, huh?
That oversees the statue, or where the statue of Mzee Jomo Kenyatta is. You know there's a statue of Mzee Jomo Kenyatta at KICC?
Yes.
Put one of Raila facing Mzee Jomo Kenyatta. Or next to him, both of them facing Parliament. He will be honoring his father, the late Jaramogi Odinga. He will have sorted out the issues with the fourth president of the Republic of Kenya, Uhuru Kenyatta, who wanted him to be president. That was the Jubilee position. And we will be sort of sorting out a little bit of issues here. And we just put Mzee Jomo, let's make that the Hero Square, one place. And let's put Raila Odinga there, facing Parliament. Not facing Mzee, but all of them facing Parliament.
So they wouldn't argue that there's Uhuru Gardens, maybe we can actually put it at
Uhuru
Gardens.
Put it there.
I think if that is very strategic, because we have the convention center, visitors when they come,
yes,
they can always see and remember.
You've honored his father, him.
There's nothing wrong with that. I think the idea of naming roads and buildings
He didn't like
was
like
it was mishandled by the late President Daniel Arap Moi. But you have all traveled. If you go to the US and you go to the Senate meeting, you find it's named Lyndon Johnson. And below it you will see a small write-up on who was Lyndon Johnson. And you get the connection. You find that Lyndon Johnson was the first senator at 27 to really break the ceiling and become a leader in the Senate at that age, becoming the leader of the Senate at 27 years. That was unheard of in the American history. You go to, a building, you find it named after John F. Kennedy, because it reminds you about the history of the Americans. When we were in Busia the other day, we wanted to create a hall of fame in Busia for people who have made significant contribution to the history of Busia, And names were read, and I didn't know. I am a great lover of football, and I didn't know that J.J. Masiga, Wilberforce Mulamba, you are young. Some of us who are in school in the 80s, those were our football idols those days. And then we were given names like Wako, Amos Wako, You're told this is Kenya's longest serving Attorney General, did 24 years.
Some of the best doctors.
Some of the best doctors come from Busia.
That's true.
Historically. And you remember the list. When it was read, we were all like, wow.
Yes.
You mean Busia has this rich history? And I was telling somebody, instead of these funny pictures on the walls of the assembly building in Busia, those are the names you should see on the wall. So you can imagine my son, many years down the line, I mean, if God was to grant him favor and if he was to be interested to be in politics, or anybody else from Nyamira, comes to the Senate and you find the sitting where we do is named Raila Odinga building, okay? And then when you follow the history, you are told this was the true father of devolution. This is the guy who believed in devolution. His last speech made on the floor of the Senate was in defense of devolution. His speech was simply pushing for the strengthening of devolution. There's nothing wrong with that. There are people who, if you honor them, there will be protestation. But there are people really that the country will say, this one is deserving. This one is deserving. We need to cement the history of this human being by anytime we walk into this building, there is a connection between what happens in that building and the name of the person it's named after.
So a building. Yeah.
It could, unless
more or less a building, a statue.
Let us. We could even start from Parliament itself. I don't have a problem with the statute, but I really wish we could start from Parliament itself. You know.
I think the truth is, the senior counsel. The truth is, I believe we are the only country in the world that wants to erase any data about who has played a role for our country for whatever purpose. I believe that we are the only country, even when you look at the historical buildings, some of them, like if you go to Western Kenya and you're told this was a Mzungu house, which was actually receiving slaves which were traveling all the way to coast. Those things have been broken down.
Exactly.
I mean, we've discarded them. I mean, just because of the very selfish and personal things which some people look at. I mean, look at the way we treat some of our footballers. I mean, so I think for me, this whole event about the passing of Mzee Raila and his history and whatever the consequentials are, is a rethink on what it takes to preserve, to protect this country, this small place, this beautiful place we call Kenya. And there are some people who have been passionate about it. Look at the history of the revolution of the Seven Sisters. I mean, you can go back to pre-independence, post-independence. There have been individuals who have played critical roles and major roles in making sure this country keeps moving. That history, we must preserve it, protect it jealously.
Yes.
Indeed.
Because once you delete that information, once it's not there in the book, then your standards are lowered because you have nothing to refer to.
Yeah, exactly.
I know there are thousands of young people today, you ask them, who was Ochengo Neko? Nothing. You talk to them. Why do we have Awings Kodek Street in Nairobi? They don't know.
They have no sorting idea.
It's true. Why is it? I mean, these are things that we, as the legislature and members of good faith, we must begin to reinterrogate ourselves and actually have meetings with ourselves.
Can that be part of a conversation tomorrow? In honor of Raila Odinga, where should we?
Absolutely.
I mean,
so that we begin it earlier.
I would be so
You're
happy.
right. You know, there is actually a bill on the floor. It's called County Hall of Fame Bill.
Yes. The point I was going to give last before the idea runs away is, I know we are constantly talking about these statues and even naming things after us. For me, how I wish that the University of Nairobi would take the Department of Political Science and take a hall and name it after Raila.
It's like an epiphany. You just said that and it was just in my head.
But you know, if I may interject,
yes.
I think the easiest way is just to devolve national museums of Kenya
Yes.
to all the counties.
Exactly.
Fund them.
And
You have the UNESCO, you have and fund them and put the history in every county so that when I travel to Kakamega County, I get the history of that county.
Yes.
Just like when you go to Atlanta,
at this moment
you can go to
history.
Martin Luther King's where he was born. You can go to, all these things. So that strengthens devolution, but also strengthens the the national unity and also the image of your country, that everywhere, it's a fascinating country. Go to Turkana, tell us where. I've been to Turkana, from Lodwar, from the south up to Ilemi Triangle, where most Kenyans have not been. There is no way you can get the history of the Ilemi Triangle unless you've read it like I understand. There is no way you can get the history of... Do you know that when you're crossing those riverbeds in Turkana, one of the most beautiful counties in Kenya, they call it Alaga. Alaga is from the German word. It's not a river. You know why? They fought, the Germans. They were one of the toughest warriors, fighters, soldiers in the Second World War against the Allies. Does anybody in Kenya know about that?
No.
I know because I have spent time in Turkana and I love Turkana.
I've never heard about it.
There's so much. There's so much.
There's so much. Okay.
Yeah, so
we're looking for,
I think tomorrow, as I was saying,
Yes.
tomorrow is basically for us to eulogize Raila Odinga. But we should take the moment really to talk about what Raila stood for and what he believed in. You know, like, I shouldn't be saying this, but I looked at a communique today from State House on the 6 bills that were centered by the president.
Exactly.
And you know, I was in deep reflection and saying, one of the bills is saying that the government is getting a blank check to sell our parastatals without parliamentary approval. And I said, what a sad thing that this is happening on a day that
Raila,
the icon of transparency and accountability, Raila Odinga.
But they will argue he's been part of broad-based government, so there's no way he will have really gone against.
Even if that were the case, I think that's a slap in the face.
One has committed infidelity.
It's a slap in the face.
it's actually an embarrassment.
It's a slap in the
Infidelity.
face.
It's like a marriage and one has committed infidelity. Yes, yeah. Broad-based marriage, broad-based.
But talking about infidelity,
So,
let him finish.
So I think let's get a moment. You know, I look at the Bible. I'm a Christian, and I say, even Jesus Christ, who was given to us as the only Son of God, he came to us with very good intentions, but he still made enemies. Okay?
It was to fulfill prophecy.
Was betrayed.
It was to
But the only good thing is that he rose again. So I hope that some of us, me and Senator Onyonka, Shamalla, and others, can be inspired by the life that Raila Odinga lived. How selfless he was, how he sacrificed, how he gave up his comfort in pursuit of a better society for all of us. That we can pick it from where he's left it. And we shouldn't just mourn, but we should learn from his life, reflect from his life, and carry on from where he has left. We should not feel like we have been orphaned, but we should feel like, look,
grace.
The torch has been handed over to us, and the best we can do is to emulate the life that he led, and we try to fulfill the ideals of Raila Odinga in trying to make our society better than we found it. Raila talked about corruption.
Permanently.
To the very last day. About corruption. The other day we were getting a report from Ethics and Anti-Corruption Commission. And you know, we'll be making the report to the Senate. And you know, they were telling us that we take cases to court. We have evidence, but somebody somewhere, okay, from my office, interferes with the process and forces
the withdrawal
of those cases. Can you imagine? And we are talking about public resources
billions of
that go to the
country
to give us medicine, to ensure that we get water to our homes, to ensure that we can get roads. You know, we always say we want to have Kenyans live how many kilometers? Is it 2 kilometers from Atamak Road? If we continue the wanton theft that we are seeing at our counties, even just looking at a case of one governor, you saw how much ESCC recovered from auctioning his assets. And I was like, if all governors are amassing wealth at that rate, do we have a country?
But
then,
you know, over here, I must interject. We have 3 arms of government. 2 are highly political, which is the the Senate and the National Assembly, and the presidency. What about the judiciary, which is supposed to be the temple of justice? They have security of tenure. They're not like members of parliament and presidents who have to go every 5 years for an election. What have they done and how much have they contributed to the mess in this country? Because it's supposed to be the temple of justice, and I speak as an officer of that court. Because the anchor in all this is supposed to be the temple of justice. We are the ones, the politicians, the presidency, we're political, we take sides, we have interests, and we have manifestos to follow. What about the judiciary?
Yes.
Right, there are many questions around the judiciary. So even as we're winding up, I wanted just to ask, because today we saw the president was biding his time. Everyone was really waiting for the official announcement. And I think this is also a moment for him to reflect,
Yes.
To sit back wherever he is, looking back even from his time at ODM and him now being with him in the broad-based government. But the fact that he took time, Kenyans are still waiting. He didn't come on the lectern to just make the announcement. He made sure that he went first to the family and condoled with the family first before he came to make this public announcement. What do you think will be an inflection point for President William Ruto from this particular, politically, even for him as a person? Because I know him as a president, even his political career has a greater bearing, from the influence of the Right Honorable Raila Odinga.
I was hoping you'd not ask me that question.
You want me to go before?
Let me tell you this.
Yes, please.
I'm just going to repeat what I said earlier. We can give Raila the most wonderful funeral you've given any Kenyan in this republic. But if whatever that you're looking at doesn't transform your thoughts as a leader or as a president or as somebody who's actually working to make Kenya better, your big wedding, your big funeral, it doesn't mean anything. And this is what Senior Counsel Mogeni has said. Why would we, all the gains we've made, and in simple thing of gazettement, you're able to look at my country and we're going back to those bad habits that we used to have. Even in the American system, the Supreme Court just ruled the other day. They said Trump cannot impose tariffs because he doesn't have the right to do that. The Constitution doesn't allow him to introduce those tariffs. It must go through Congress.
Yes.
There was the Supreme Court.
So what we are saying, what is it that the current government is fearing? That they're introducing this, what we call the bad bills. And you remember MPs have said how they were passing bad bills because they were covering, they were protecting and that kind of stuff. It means Raila has just left and the journey has just begun for some of us. Because I am not going to change my mind because Raila has passed on. About raising the critical aspect about good governance in our country and making Kenya a better place. Even if it means it just takes me one single extra day, so be it. Because the consequences of our behavior is what some of us fear. Because we've seen it on the African continent. How many times have we gone for crisis meetings, being called to go and sit and negotiate and broker? I mean, how many cases we have in Africa? The clear way of getting into dictatorship in Africa is known. You weaken the structures, the institutions, you weaken the people, you humiliate them, you make sure everybody's a beggar, you give them handouts, so they become dependents. Is that the state Raila would have wanted to be called Kenya when he's not there? My answer is no. He would have expected better.
All right.
Dibal,
Jennifer, even as we look forward to just giving our closing remarks. Thank you.
To ask.
Yes, please.
The ODM party members,
Who are here.
Who are here. Can I be the journalist? Who is your preferred successor to Raila Odinga in the party?
Isn't that too early maybe to ask?
No.
Yeah. In honor, people say, oh, no, this is insensitive.
There is no vacuum
Let's
in
wait
power.
for the interment and then we talk
Power
about
abhors
succession.
a vacuum. It's very serious. That's why they have power abhors a vacuum. That it should already, do you think it's not kick-started already? It's not happening? Because if you don't, you could have the wrong people.
Well, I think we could discuss this after the interment. About the future of ODM. When we know that ODM is Raila and Raila is ODM.
Okay, not now. Okay,
it's not timely.
So we'll come back to discuss it.
Yes.
Okay,
It may not be timely to discuss issues of succession.
That's what I'm saying.
Because we are mourning.
Okay, all right, okay.
I think the best we can do now is just to say how we can carry on from where he has left it. Yeah, and he has just mentioned about the legislative budget-making process in the Senate. You know, the government in America has been on shutdown for the last 2 weeks because senators are playing their legislative role in budget-making process.
Yeah, understood.
You know that the Kenyan Constitution, Chapter 12 on finance, was largely borrowed from the United States of America. But you find colleagues of ours who will go to constituencies and say, you know, this has been given to you by the president. If you are in opposition, you will never get this. Yet the Constitution of the Republic of Kenya in Article 2:1 says the principles of public finance is that there must be equity and equality in development for the entire country. And the person who sits actually at the tail end of budget-making process is Parliament itself. If you don't pass the budget, the government will not function. You get it? So I think this gives us an opportunity. Some of us who have celebrated Raila as the father of democracy, the father of good governance, we should now also step back and say, the way John F. Kennedy once asked,
not what your nation can do for you.
Yes, ask not what the nation can do, but what you can do for your country. So you as a member of parliament who has been given that power by the Constitution, what can you do to ensure that what Raila Odinga believed in, separation of powers between the executive, legislature, and the judiciary come to fruition? Because that can only come to fruition when you as a member appreciate that budget making is not about you going and telling your people that the president must do this. It's you sitting down in budget making process and asking the CS, the cabinet secretary, as you pass these budgets, have you complied with Article 201, equity? Have these roads been distributed fairly across the country? It talks of sustainable development. Are the roads we have designed going to help us in ensuring that there is sustainable development? Because Raila helped us to get the 2010 Constitution. We should help the country to ensure that there is full implementation of our 2010 Constitution. And that can only be possible if we, me, Senator Onyonka, and other elected leaders can play our role. That is the only way. When Raila Odinga goes to heaven and he meets my good friend George Anyona, he will say, yes,
you tried.
I am fallen, but I left behind people,
good young men
who will carry on the battle.
Fantastic.
Yeah.
Fantastic. Let's get to our closing remarks from Richard Onyonka, Jennifer, and then finally also Senior Counsel.
I want to say that for me, it was an honor working with Raila. I spent 25 years of my life around him, understanding him, thinking, and I wouldn't have been more fortunate. I think the reason why I've been successful is I've picked what is really incredible and wonderful about Raila. Keeping your word where you must, making sure that you are people-based. If you are not going to discuss anything, and not for hoopla, not for drama, no. Let's just fix our country. And the only way to fix it is to be honest with each other. Let leadership understand that Kenyans have changed. Let us agree that where this country has come from in the last 60 years hasn't been easy. And let us promise Kenyans that we are not. And I would want President William Ruto, I hope somebody will tell him, that is what Kenyans want him to say. We are not going back to the situation where we are killing our people for political reasons, where state resources are everybody's njugu karanga these days. People used to steal 2 million, 3 million. Now 2 billion is what they talk about for money for the weekend. Our country has got challenges. We must protect, safeguard, and be jealous about this country because we have no any other country to go to. And for me, Raila will rest in peace. He will rest well, and history will be fair to him. I know the controversies, the issues that have been there, and the anger in most of the cases, and we are going to have to accept that we're going to heal and move forward if we feel violated by him. But I think we should also be fair and say he served his country with diligence and dignity. Indeed. And I'm so proud of that legacy for him.
Thank you. Jennifer?
I just want to say to the leadership and the entire leadership of this country, whether it's in opposition, in government, or whatever, unless you plan on being Pharaoh and building a huge pyramid to bury yourself in and carry all your earthly belongings there, and then hope that in 2,000 years people will be coming to visit your pyramid or your tomb, wherever you are, the time to pass on is written. It is biblical. I do believe, and then there is another process of those who will go to eternity and those who will be condemned in hell. And that Raila Odinga reminds us about this. He lived a glorious life, and he was highly respected, and he will be buried, when he is buried this weekend, as a hero and never forgotten, and he will be talked about for decades to come. Today, he has laid to rest. To those of you who think you're going to live forever, remember, it is a time when people will be discussing you as well.
Thank you.
May Raila Odinga rest in eternal peace and rise up with the saints.
Thank you. Right? Senior Counsel, closing remarks.
Yeah, they have said it all. For me, I want to say fare thee well, Baba. He was a mentor to all of us.
Yes.
He ran the race. He laid the foundation for us. While we are mourning him, we want to assure Baba, wherever he's watching from, that we will pick it from where he has left it and march on in fighting for a more democratic society, a society that embraces good governance, a society where the values that are embedded in our 2010 Constitution are valued and respected. We cannot afford to let him down. The best we can do is to soldier on and be people that were mentored by Raila to make this country a better place than we found it. Yeah.
Thank you. Thank you very much. What tributes you've paid to him, just talking about him, reminding us what an iconic figure he was, and such is life. They say life is, like a flower. We're here today, we're gone tomorrow. That's the ephemerality of life. It's very short. So what are you doing with the small dash in between the 1945 to 2025? That small dash is what we've been discussing about Raila Odinga today. And of course, we are looking forward to see how this will pan out on Sunday and receiving the body tomorrow. Thank you very much, gentlemen and lady. I really do appreciate you sacrificing your time I think it only happens once in a blue moon.
It wasn't
to
a
come.
sacrifice.
It is an honor also to really come and just pay tribute and remember.
It's also a privilege
It
for
was a
us
privilege
to mourn.
Indeed,
to mourn
it's a
and-
privilege.
Mourn
Yeah.
Raila
Yeah.
Odinga.
Indeed,
It
indeed.
was a privilege.
Thank you so much. I really do appreciate. Before you go, I just want to read out some of, I can see the tweets here, some of, yes, that we've had today from our legislators, and if my director may just pick up some of them. Regarding Gachagua, right, we have him saying, Baba, Raila Odinga, may you rest well. To the family, your spouse, Mama Ida Odinga, and your children, my family, and I join you in prayer during this difficult time or difficult moment. My deepest sympathies to you and to the people of the Republic of Kenya. The Enigma Baba, the father. Of course, it is a lengthy one. And then we have one from Jamia Mosque, Nairobi as well. It says that the Jamia Mosque Committee joins the nation in mourning the passing of Right Honorable Raila Odinga, a veteran politician and an almost permanent feature in Kenya's democratic space. Raila Odinga was a steadfast champion of democracy, justice and equality, whose lifelong dedication to public service left an enduring mark on Kenya's political landscape. He was a champion of the marginalized and minority communities, consistently advocating for fairness, inclusion and reforms, and strengthened Kenya's governance and unity. His courage, conviction, and vision helped shape the country's democratic journey and inspire generations to believe in a better, more just Kenya. As a Muslim community, we particularly remember Raila Odinga's significant role in the struggle of establishment and entrenchment of the Kadhi's Court in Kenya's constitution, a reflection of his respect for Kenya's religious diversity and commitment to protecting the rights of all citizens. We extend our heartfelt condolences to the Odinga family, friends, and all Kenyans who share in this profound loss. May the Almighty Allah grant his family comfort and strength during this difficult time, and may Raila Amolo Odinga's legacy of courage, reform, and inclusivity continue. Yes, and there we have a picture of him. This is coming from detention, right? And he's gone through the trenches. Fare thee well, Baba, 1945, 2025. And we hopefully one day we'll see him beyond yonder, yeah? Thank you very much.
Back.